Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is April 14th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Check out our ridge of high pressure here, protecting much of the region from any storm systems and keeping us precipitation free for a few days. But there is going to be a system that tries to ride down the back side of this ridge of high pressure across the region, and it's going to try to bring some unsettled weather in towards the Intermountain West. We'll take a look at that coming up, and we'll see when our dry streak is going to come to an end here across the region as we head off into the extended forecast. Looking at the visible satellite imagery, you can see you've got Mount Rainier right here. You've got Mount Adams, St. Helens, there's Mount Hood, there's Mount Baker, the snow-capped mountains of the Cascades, Blue Mountains, Rocky Mountains there, higher terrain of Idaho, Bittertooth and the Sawtooth mountain ranges out there. So yeah, very nice day out there. No marine layer to speak of here along the Washington-Oregon coast. The mid-level clouds get thicker as you go up towards the north portion of Vancouver Island and on into western BC though. But yeah, pretty nice days coming up for much of the region. And if we take a look at apparent temperature, you subtract 7 from Zulu time or universal UTC time, and you get what? 8 o'clock here. So I'm doing this about 8:20, so you can see the update was at 8 o'clock. And you can see there are some chilly temperatures out here, but we will be warming up across a lot of the region here as we go through the day today. Now, just a heads up here, you can join CoCoRahs. So go ahead and Google this, CoCoRahs, and you can sign up and you can click. There's all kinds of good information in here. You can become a weather spotter here, and you can see who can participate, pretty much everyone, and what they hope to accomplish, all kinds of good stuff there. It does require a weather station or some kind of way to measure precipitation and things like that. But yeah, check it out, CoCoRahs. Highly recommend that you do that if you have the ability. Now looking at Seattle-Tacoma, so far for this month, you can see almost 2 inches of precipitation, max gust 42 miles per hour, a little bit warmer than normal so far for the month of April up until now anyway. And then probably going to bump up some of these temperatures here over the next few days as well. You can see the high yesterday was 61 degrees at SeaTac. And if we take a look here at burning this week, Wednesday and Thursday, very dry, gusty north winds here. Fire could carry quickly in dead grasses, so heads up for that. You know, we're getting to that season here. We can get some of these fires that you see burning on the side of the road there when you're driving across eastern Washington and some of the grasslands there. And of course that extends into the forest areas as we go on in towards the summer months as well. That was updated here this morning. Now, if you want to help support the channel, check out the Patreon page. The link will be in the description down below. And you can also check out a weather station there if you want a nice, affordable home weather station. So go ahead and click on that if you want when you get to save 10% off by clicking on that link. So yeah, check out the Patreon page. All right, do post the daily updates here, and it gives you an email reminder if you like. I know YouTube sometimes doesn't send out the daily reminders. Now, if we take a look here where we are right now, you can clearly see the ridge axis is very close to the coastline here. We continue to scroll off in towards Monday. We get a little bit of a relaxation there. We flatten out that ridge a bit, but it does build back offshore. And then this next backdoor cold front here, this inside slider, wants to move down across eastern portions here and then phase in with this upper level low off the coast of Southern California and set up across the Southwest USA. You can kind of see our ridge get redeveloped here, but then you'll notice it again flattens out as we go towards the end of the run here, and we start to kick some more onshore flow and maybe some more unsettled conditions here for the Pacific Northwest, or at least a cool down, and we'll take a look at that more here in a moment. But now looking at a wider view, there's Alaska, there's Washington State and Oregon right there. So here we go at the ridge over us, and then this backdoor cold front, this upper level low slides down on the eastern periphery of that ridge and phases in down across the Southwest USA. Our ridge hangs on for a bit longer, but then as we go towards the weekend, you can kind of see this troughing getting developed here across Western Canada, and that's what's going to start to bring us our onshore flow back in here across the region. Now, if we take a look at precipitation amounts, we have ongoing precipitation today across western BC, but that's north of the population, the main population centers of Southwest BC, and some higher terrain snowfall occurring with that. But that'll be wrapping up as we go towards tomorrow morning, and then we start to wait for the next system drop down. And you can see the European does kick off a few showers across the Cascades, quite light though. The better chances, Idaho Panhandle off through western Montana. Can't rule out a little bit of rainfall there for Spokane, maybe some snowfall for the Blue Mountains there, and moving down across Oregon, southeast Oregon, and portions of Idaho as well as we go on in towards Thursday, and then then that low pressure system moves off and down to the south. And then you can see some precipitation trying to return to the region as we go through the following, or next weekend, I should say, today being Monday, as we go on towards the end of the European model run. So if we take a look at lightning flash density potential, so I'm going to scroll through this. This is for Tuesday. I'm not expecting a lot of lightning here on Tuesday, but as we go through Wednesday, this is probably the better chances here. Idaho Panhandle, some of western Montana. Can't rule out a strike there for northeast Washington as well. And then we kind of push that system off to the south and east. So if we take a look here at 80-meter wind speeds, we got the offshore flow going as we go through this morning. It's about 8 o'clock. You can see still got some gusty easterly winds across the Cascades. You can see the east wind coming across the Columbia Basin out there, eastern Oregon, flowing all the way off towards the coastline there as well with the offshore flow. But we are going to kind of switch the direction there as we go on in towards tomorrow morning. You see the westerlies start to return in advance of the next system riding back down the eastern periphery of that ridge. Now, taking a look here, that we got this thermal trough. It's not an exceptionally strong one. We'll get stronger ones here as we go through the summer and maybe the early fall months. But you can kind of see it creeping up as we go through the day to day. And then it kind of gets erased a little bit here. And then we put another high pressure system down here across the interior west. Still a little bit of a semblance of it hanging on as we go through the end of the week as well. But then we kind of switch things up and the higher pressure gets located out over the Pacific Ocean. And we get some troughing going on and maybe kick that onshore flow back on with some more unsettled weather as we go through the following weekend. But daily 2-meter max temperatures. Look at today. Nice, glorious day. Look at this mid-70s for western Oregon. Some places could be hitting 80s as you go through southwest Oregon as well. Some 70s out there east of the Cascades. You see the valleys warming up into the interior regions. Seattle, 67, some upper 60s today. What a glorious day. There's tomorrow, Tuesday. A little bit of a cool down maybe for some areas, but it gets warmer east of the Cascades. You're looking at mid and upper 70s possible. Then we go through Wednesday. That backdoor system comes sliding down here, cools things down a little bit, but still a relatively warm day here across the region. Then we go to Thursday, and look at that, Seattle bouncing back, Portland bouncing back into the low 70s, and look at Friday, Seattle at 70, mid 70s for the Willamette Valley. Quite nice. But then we start that onshore flow and we cool things back down. Look at Sunday, dropping those temperatures down for Seattle back down to the 50s. Monday back into the 50s there. Tuesday, and maybe we'll bounce back as we go through the following week. Who knows? Looking a little bit too far off in fantasy land for that. Now, total 24-hour Kuchera ratio snowfall. Let's put that into motion. And again, we're looking at that system. It comes down through Wednesday, and you can see it bringing some snowfall to the Rocky Mountains and the higher terrain of Idaho there, maybe some of southeast Oregon, maybe a little bit for the Blue Mountains there. And the artificial intelligence shows a little bit more in the way of shower activity here for some of the Cascades as this frontal system is swinging through, but not a big precipitation maker. Then you can see the onshore flow start to kick back on here as we go through the weekend. Now, looking at the artificial intelligence, we'll look off into the extended a little bit more here, and there goes that system. You can see it does kick off maybe a shower or two across the Cascades. A little bit further excuse me, off to the west there with that system there, maybe clipping portions of eastern Washington and Oregon a little bit more than what the deterministic is showing. And then we kept that trough back down here across the region and get a little bit more unsettled as we go through the following week. But then, it shows us maybe drying out a little bit there before another very modest frontal system tries to push in as well. And then through the extended forecast, whatever, flip a coin for that. It kind of shows a little bit of an atmospheric river feature there. You still can get decent frontal systems here in the Pacific Northwest as you're going through the month of April and even into May. So yeah, we'll see how that trends. Here's the 46-day precipitation anomaly on the extended European weeklies, and you can kind of see the below normal signal here across much of the region. This goes out over 1,000 hours. Just kind of something fun to look at as we scroll all the way through the end of May. But this is the next 15 days. This is the European ensemble mean, and this is precipitation anomaly. Clearly a below normal signal here as we scroll off towards the end of the month of April. And 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, a big mixed bag here across a lot of the west coast. And we go on into the 6 to 10 day precipitation. Again, kind of a mixed bag there as well, 8 to 14. And again, with the mixed bag there across much of the Pacific Northwest. We'll see how that turns out. But anyway, hope you guys are liking the videos. Click like and subscribe. I'm back at work here for a few days, and then I will be going on a little bit more time off where I do some chasing out in the plains. But when I do so, I will still be bringing my mobile setup out there with me, and I'll be doing my daily briefings whenever I can when I am out there. So anyway, hope you guys are liking the videos here. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.